Okay, this is from the book Holy Grail Wisdom Quotes, written by me. These are quotes today of Euripides. He's one of the great playwrights of ancient Greece in the time of Athens in the 400s before Christ. He lived from 480 BC to 406 BC. He was the youngest of the three great Greek tragedians, like Aeschylus and Sophocles and then Euripides. Oh, this painting, by the way, is Antigone. Antigone was the daughter of Oedipus, and she was a very good, loyal daughter to her father. The sad king who accidentally, killed his father, married his mother, based on the prophecy. He did his best to avoid it. Theseus of Athens forgave him and let him come and spend his last days in Athens very kindly. And Antigone was with him all the way. She was a wonderful daughter. She was engaged to the son of the king of Thebes, King Creon. And her brothers were fighting, Polynices and Euripides, okay? And then when her brother died, Polynices, they refused to give him a burial because they felt that he had, gone against the town and they were going to leave him out to rot to be eaten by the dogs. And she refused to accept that and tried to bury her brother. And for that, King Creon sentenced her to death. His own son, who was engaged to her, of course, was very upset about it, as was King Creon's wife. But the heroic thing about it is Antigone was always doing the right thing, even when it was not the popular thing or what the authority had wanted her to do. So it's one of the greatest plays of all time. It's a real masterpiece. Okay. He also wrote Alcestis. Alcestis was the woman who agreed to die for her husband. I think it was King Minos when his time had come. Okay. And she was such a great wife, and everybody loved her so much that Hercules went down into Hades to bring her back. He fought with death, so to speak. Okay, the Bacchants, about Dionysus and whatnot. The Trojan women about Andromache and the rest of the sad Trojan women after the fall of Troy. Okay, so here's Creon speaking to Antigone. Creon says, "You knew my edict, Antigone, yes, and you transgressed the law, Antigone. Your law, but not the law of justice that dwells with the gods. The unwritten laws of heaven are not of today nor yesterday, but for all time." Okay, that's a great line from Antigone. There's freedom speaking loud, the voice of the ancient Greeks. The ancient Greeks were fantastic. The more you learn about the ancient Greeks, the more you love them, the more you want to study them. Let's see. Oh, Antigone, another line. The play was called Suppliants. She said, "Behold me what I suffer, because I have upheld that which is high." Okay. Euripides says there are three types of citizens. The first are the rich, who are lazy but always want more. I joke they're like the calcium ion related to the plasma membrane ion pumps. The second are the poor, who are envious and hateful and easily led by demagogues. Okay, so the angry poor is like the sodium trying to get into the cell. Okay, then the third are the middle class, who make the state secure and who uphold the laws, potassium and magnesium. They're the good ions inside cellular physiology. Euripides, when one with honeyed words but evil mind persuades the mob, great woes befall the group. Yeah, there's often like an aristocracy of rich elites that control all the angry poor and stir them up to destroy the middle class and then force everybody into slavery. That's a pretty standard way that societies are controlled. Okay, Euripides, talk sense to a fool and he calls you foolish. Okay. There's another quote. I think it's from Proverbs in the Bible. As a dog returns to his vomit, so a fool returns to his folly. Okay, Euripides. The language of truth is simple. Yeah, you can tell most of the time. It depends on the subject and the situation, but a lot of times you can tell. Somebody telling the truth, it's simple, it's straightforward. You can tell it feels right. Okay, the wisest men follow their own direction. Jerry Spence, the great lawyer, used to say that too. When somebody tells the truth, their just body language resonates with it, and there's no mystery, there's no vacillating perseveration or anything. Okay, the wisest men follow their own direction. Yeah, that's often a lot of time another reason why people don't like them, because they're nonconformist. They actually think, so they're going to be individualistic. They're the ones that suffer the most with forced conformity because, Okay, God helps him who helps himself. Hard work is the father of fame. Action speaks louder than words. So a lot of things that became popular quotes, they came from the ancient Greeks, like Euripides. Question everything. A man's most valuable trait is a judicious sense of what not to believe. Yeah, I've noticed that in the nutrition world, that's also true. And I made a video about that. I called it the Daddy Says School of Nutrition, meaning that a lot of the young ones especially, but many of the weaker ones, they'll conform whenever a famous person says something. And a lot of times famous people, they make mistakes or they say stuff that's not true. So you got to think it through and study it before you just immediately conform to what they say. And there's a lot of stuff that's put out there. There's often competing BS from different parts of the spectrum, and it can take a while to sort out where the actual truth is. You know both arguments, but where exactly is the truth most accurately put? You know, like for fructose, that can be tricky. There's pros and cons to it. Okay, Euripides, this is what it means to be a slave, to be abused and to bear it, to be compelled to suffer wrong. A slave is he who cannot speak his thoughts. For myself, I would rather die on my feet than live on my knees. Okay, kind of sounds like a little echoes of Patrick Henry. Okay, Euripides, when people argue, never judge until you have heard the other side. Real friendship is shown in times of trouble. Friends are plentiful in prosperity. Sweet is the memory of troubles when you are in safety. And that kind of reminds me that we like to daydream about the past, because when you daydream about the past, there's no longer any danger, you know. Maybe if things were different, things would have worked out with my old girlfriend or something. That's what you think of, you know, and it's a safe thing to do. And it's a pleasant daydream, but it doesn't accomplish much, but it's pleasant. I often, in my mind's eye, relive my past and think of all the things I would do different. Euripides continues, there is no medicine for a bad woman. A second wife is hateful to the children of the first. A viper is not more hateful. Yeah, it's better to think about the future, because the future you can do something about trying to improve it, even though the future can be kind of scary and painful and arduous. Euripides, the same man cannot be skilled at everything. Each man has his own special excellence. Yeah, that's partly how you figure out how to live a good life. Are you good at something that you like? That's a good spot to spend your time. And can you get paid for it? Or does it at least provide some significant benefit? Oh, here's a good one. My love for you was greater than my wisdom. Yeah, men have a tendency to fall in love too fast with women. We like them a lot more than they like us. Euripides, leave no stone unturned. Okay, then here's the old Euripides joke. A Greek guy goes into a tailor shop with a torn pair of trousers, and the old tailor looks at the trousers and he says, Euripides? And the Greek guy says, Eumenides? All right, that's by John Pollock from The Pun Also Rises. Anyways, that's it for today. Hope that was helpful and interesting.